Hello and welcome to On the Bench, the weekly sports discussion show for Lincolnshire and East Yorkshire here on Estuary TV. As always, we'll be taking a look at the sports stories from our region and shining a light on a couple more sports clubs from the local area. Joining me in the studio this evening to do so are Dan Gamblin from the Grimsby Scorpions American Football Club and Andy Abernethie from Samurai Hearts Martial Arts Centre. Thank you both for joining me. Also on the show tonight, Matt Denson has been out and about, and again this week he's been down at Louth shooting some hoops with the Louth Netball Club. And Tom Reid is here to answer your questions in a view from the Estuary. That's all to come, but first let's round up in the weekend scores. Here's Team Talk. Hull beat Sunderland 2-0 with Shane Long and Nikita Jelovic on the mark to register their first Premier League win of 2014. Grimsby drew 0-0 at home to lowly Southport and missed the chance to move into the playoff places in the Squill Premier. Lincoln came from behind to beat Hyde 4-3 with late strikes from Ben Tomlinson and Tom Miller. In Sky Bet League 2, Sam Winnall scored from Scunthorpe, who drew 1-1 against Chesterfield, their fifth in a row. North Ferriby remained top of the Conference North despite losing 2-0 at Barrow. Cleethorpes Town lost 3-0 at Bottisford, Louth drew 1-1 at home to Yorkshire Amateur, and Grimsby Borough's against Terrasul game was postponed and has been rearranged for Wednesday the 12th of March. Curtis Woodhouse got his first win as goal manager, beating Lincoln United 2-1 with a Sean Wright own goal and Samuel Colbert 86-minute strike. Brigtown's game at Leek was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch. In rugby, Midlands 3 East Grimsby lost 3 points to 10 against Aylestone St James, but Cleethorpes against Amber Valley was postponed in Midlands 4. Market Raisin and Louth are beaten 29-17 at Peterborough, first in Midlands 1. And in hockey, Grimsby first defeated Brig third 6-0. In ice hockey, Hull Stingrays lost 3-0 against Belfast Giants. And finally in lacrosse, Liverpool beat Hull 11-6 and Lincoln drew 6-0 with Ashton. So mixed results across the board there for our local teams. Just before we move on, let's give a special mention to our snowboarder, Jenny Jones, our first ever medal winner on the snow out in Sochi. So massive congratulations to Jenny and the team out there. Have you guys been watching the Olympics, Andy?
Yes, I watched a bit yesterday, yes.
Fantastic. And really Dan, have you been into it?
I've been having a look, but I'm waiting for the ice hockey games to come on.
So that's your game?
That's my thing, yeah.
Okay.
I'm interested in that.
Brilliant. So, we've got Danny on the show and he's from American Football. Thanks for joining us, first of all.
That's all right.
Just tell me a little bit about how you got into American football, because this is a sport that isn't as popular in the UK as it is obviously in America. Yeah,
well, it's getting more popular in this country, but I started supporting my favourite team, which is Pittsburgh Steelers, when I was about 12 years old. My dad's got a lot of family and friends in the States, in Tennessee, and he sort of brought me up on the sport. When I was 12, I picked my team. Then I found my local team, which was when I lived in Watford, which were the Watford Cheetahs. I went and joined them when I was 16. I moved up to Grimsby 2 years ago and founded the Grimsby Scorpions when I moved up here. So.
Brilliant. So just tell us a little bit about the club for anybody that doesn't know.
Well, we've been going about sort of 6 months now. We're starting at the bottom. We're building. We've got a good group of players, and we're still looking to evolve into the bigger team that we need to be.
Brilliant. So have you seen a shift? Obviously we've had the Super Bowl recently. Have you seen a shift with the NFL being played at Wembley and kind of becoming more prominent in the UK? It's
getting more popular. It was big back in the 80s when you had players like Joe Montana and San Francisco 49ers, big teams back then. And it's getting bigger back again in this country. The games in Wembley is making a big difference to the popularity in this country.
And just talk me through a little bit, because it might be obvious to some people, but what are the main differences between the obvious comparison to rugby? Is there kind of quite a lot of differences, or could anybody play it? It
started from rugby, but the fitness level on rugby is slightly higher, whereas in American football it's you don't have to be as fit. Okay. This is more of an impact sport, whereas rugby is known as a contact sport. American football is more of a collision sport, so it's more high impact and bigger tackles and
physical.
Yeah, exactly. It's a slightly more physical game than rugby, but there's no real fitness level to it. You need to be physically fit, but you don't have to have a massive amount of fitness to yourself.
Okay, so with your club, it's relatively new.
Yeah.
Have you got any games that are coming up, or what's kind of the next step for the club?
We're planning on playing. We need to play between 3 and 5 games this year as an associate club before we can join the league. We're planning on joining the league next year. The games that we have hopefully coming up this year would be against the new team in Hull, which are the Kingston Warhawks. And then we've got local teams like Leeds who want to play, Leeds Bobcats, Doncaster Mustangs, and then Lincoln Bombers as well. They all want to give us a go and see how good we are. Like I said, we're trying to get as many games in as we can, just building from there. So.
And is there a lot of funding that needs to come into the club as well? Because obviously to get into the league.
Yeah, there is. The start-up costs are around sort of £5,000–6,000. Every player has to have pads and helmets and things like that to to cover themselves. So we are still in a progression stage. So until we've set all of that stuff up, we won't be playing any matches yet, but we are looking at it.
And just quickly, how can people get involved in the club if they wanted to?
Well, we train every Sunday at Grimsby Rugby Club from 11:30 till 2. So just pop down and give it a go.
Yeah, I was actually down there with you yesterday. I'm aching a little bit today, so you can tune in next week to find out how I got on. Next up on the show, here's Tom Reid to answer your tweets. Did you send him in a question? Watch this to see if he answered it.
Do you think Bernie Ecclestone's point proposal for the Grand Prix is a good thing? Despite the F1 teams, or the majority of Formula 1 teams, not liking this idea themselves, I personally think it's a great idea. It adds a bit of spice to the last part of the competition. You know, the drivers out in 3rd, 4th, 5th position have a chance of pushing, to get to a higher place in the table. I think it gives those drivers further behind a bit of an extra chance. So they're thinking, I'm going to give my all in this race. It's not all done and dusted. There's still a chance for me to get the points to get up there. Obviously, drivers in 1st and 2nd position will like the idea, because it means the guy behind them can obviously overtake them in a couple of races or whatever. If they're good enough, obviously, as well. So I think it's a great idea. Obviously, I know Formula 1 teams don't like it. It might not happen yet, but Bernie Ecclestone obviously is Mr. F1. So if he's proposing it, it must be something in it for him as well. But I think it's a great idea. Will Cleethorpes Town get promoted this season? They just had a crucial game at the weekend against Bottisford Town, who are top. Before that game, there were 3 points behind them with 2 games in hand. Bottisford Town beat them 3-0 at the weekend, which now means they're 6 points behind with 2 games in hand still. So that was a massive game to lose. Ideally, Cleethorpes Town could have done with at least getting a point out of that. But they didn't, but they've still got them 2 games in hand, which means if they can win those, which is always a task, you're looking over your shoulder as well, thinking we need to win these as we could be further back. So if they win those, they'll be level on points with Bottisford Town, and it gives them a real chance, I think, of winning. Mathematically it can be done, and I think if you look at the players, the team, the club at the moment, 2nd place, they've got a real chance of getting promoted this season, I think, yeah. Is Sir Alex Ferguson's presence at matches unnecessary pressure for Moyes? Great question from Luke this week. About David Moyes and Sir Alex Ferguson being at the home matches and even away matches on some occasions. Does it bring unnecessary pressure? It possibly might. David Moyes knows Sir Alex is in the stands watching his every sort of move, every sort of substitution and tactical change on the pitch. But then again, you're Manchester United manager. You possibly one of the biggest clubs in the world. The spotlight's going to be on you regardless. So David Moyes went into the job knowing that's the case. So I don't think Sir Alex is going to make any difference to him, really. He's used to the media pressure and the pressure from directors of football, and then the ambition from the fans. It's not the best season, obviously, which isn't helping the pressure for David Moyes. But I think Sir Alex behind him, in a weird way, might give him some sort of pleasure, because then he can go to him after the match and get some advice. Where did he go wrong? What's he doing right? Some reassurance, maybe. So it will bring some pressure, but he's already under enormous amounts of pressure anyway, so it's not going to be anything really different to David Moyes, whether he's there or not. Once again, thank you for your questions this week. If you want to get a question to me, you can do so on Twitter at AskEstuary, or you can now email the programme on the bench at estuary.tv. See you next week.
That's all for part 1. Join us after the break, where we'll be chatting to Andy Abernethie from Samurai Hearts Martial Arts Club. Welcome back to On the Bench. We're joined in the studio by Dan Gamblin from Grimsby Scorpions American Football Club and Andy Abernethie from Samurai Hearts Martial Arts Centre. Andy, let's just talk about the club. Just tell me a little bit about the background for it.
Well, the club I wanted, it's a childhood dream of mine. When I first started doing martial arts at the age of 11, I wanted my own centre And in 2012 it happened.
Brilliant. And you've opened the centre in 2012, but actually you've been teaching martial arts in the area for a long time.
Yes.
Is that right?
I started martial arts when I was 11, yeah.
So, and teaching it, how long ago was that?
I've been teaching since I was 18.
Okay. So what kind of disciplines do you teach and do you practice yourself?
I teach a samurai art called Kaze Arashi Ryu.
Say that again?
Kaze Arashi Ryu.
Okay, spell that one. So what kind of thing does that involve?
It's a whole mixture of martial arts. It's striking, blocking, kicking, and then throwing, controlling on the ground, and weapons as well.
Okay, so quite a lot involved there.
Yes.
We were talking before about the stigma that evolves around kind of martial arts and the different disciplines there. How do you see it in terms of the kind of skills that you instill into young kids and through the generations?
Mainly what I aim at the children is respect and discipline. Really, really important. And the first 3 grades are all non-contact anyway, so children don't get any injuries.
Right, okay. So really, I mean, they can get involved at any level and just progress from there.
Yes.
Do you do any competing currently with or do you have another focus?
No, we don't compete.
Okay.
We just try and aim for perfection in our movement rather than competing.
Okay. And with the different disciplines, how many do you teach? Is it quite a wide range, or do you focus on 1 or 2?
At the centre itself, we have different clubs at higher,
Right.
like karate and Wing Chun. But I teach children and I teach adults.
Yeah.
So 2 separate clubs.
So do you have different disciplines that have different skill sets, and somebody might be really good at one thing and not so much on the other?
Yes, the weapons.
The weapons is the main difference?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of in your centre at the minute, do you have anybody that's standing out that's kind of having really great progression, or just talk to me about the kids that you have there at the minute?
Yes, I have a few children that have got to first dual level, which is the next level up is the black belt. They've trained with me since they was about 7 or 8 years old.
Brilliant.
And they're 14 now, so they're going to be in the next couple of years doing the black belts.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So it's kind of it's working towards something for them as well, which is obviously important for kids.
Yes.
And is it quite popular in the area? Do you have many kids attending the classes?
I teach about 300 children a week.
Oh right, it's only a few.
I work in 12 primary schools as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what kind of things do you teach in the primary schools? Because that's quite young kids, isn't it?
Yes, completely non-contact, but I teach them all the structure of the system, all the movements and the striking and blocking.
Yeah.
So try and make it as much fun as I can.
Yeah.
And obviously non-contact.
So in terms of the sport and what you're teaching them, the skills, is it more about the sport itself, or is it about the kind of basics of life skills, I suppose?
It's all about life skills.
Yeah.
That's what martial arts has taught me over the 30 odd years I've been doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about life skills. It's the whole package really.
And what would you say to somebody if they wanted to join the centre or just get involved in martial arts in general? What kind of skills do you think they need to have to get involved in it?
They don't need to be fit. They need to come with an open mind, that's all.
Yeah, that's all you ask for, open mind.
Yeah, definitely.
And how would they be able to get hold of the centre if they needed to? Do you have a website at all?
Yes, the website is www.samuraihearts.co.uk.
Okay, easy enough, so they can go on there and get all the information.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you very much for that,
Thank you.
Andy. Next up on the show, Matt Denson headed off on his own down the A16 to join the ladies at Louth Netball Club for a training session. I think it's fair to say that he found this one a little more exhausting than he'd anticipated. Take a look at this one.
We've arrived. Our destination tonight, Louth Netball Club. That's where we're at. I've just had to ask what a netball looks like, unsure of the size. That's how little I know about the sport. By the time tonight's finished, I bet we'll know a heck of a lot more. Jenny, nice to meet you.
Hi.
I'm Matt.
Hi.
I understand you're going to teach me a few things for today, is that right?
Yes, we're going to go through some of the skills of how to shoot a netball.
Skills.
Skills, yes.
Okay, shall we give it a go?
Yes, okay. So first thing we need to do is we need to get some balance. Okay?
Okay.
Just by having our feet shoulder width apart. Okay? Lovely. Next thing, we make sure that we are actually facing the hoop, so toes facing the hoop, which we're doing already. Lovely, okay. In netball, we'll have the ball on one hand, just underneath, and the other hand is going to be next to the ball supporting it.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll get to there. The ball should be nice and above our head.
Okay.
Okay, this is so, because if we do have tall defenders, if we had the ball here, a defender would be able to block it. So we try and keep it as nice and high as we can.
Okay.
Next minute, okay, we've got a hand next to its support. We bend it back, bend our knees, okay, and we lift.
Go on then, have a go.
Same as basketball, we then follow through.
The longer you come training, the older you get, you know, the skills develop, but we have some excellent under 14s that may be better than some of the under 16s at the moment, because we've got some under 16s that have only just recently joined. And again, there's some under 16s that possibly might be better than some of the seniors, but again, that's because they've been here for a number of years and their skills have progressed really well. We have students from Skegness, from Spilsby, from Horncastle, from Grimsby, as well as the Louth local area as well.
There's so much that really you have to think about. You've got to interpret the game. You've got to have an idea of how the other team are going to be playing. Every game you ever play is different depending on which team you've got. Certainly if you're a goalkeeper, goal shooter, you have got to know exactly what you're doing. As a defender, you have got to be on your player all the time. You've got to have a sixth sense of where that player is going to be moving, what space they're going to be using. You've got to have a think about where that ball is, where it's going to go to. So yeah, absolutely, your brain is always got to be in gear. It's got to be, you've got to be focused 100% on the game.
Wow, I've had been put through my paces here at Louth Netball Club. Really enjoyed myself today. They made me work hard. I thought I knew this sport was going to be a bit sedate. Far from it. What I'm going to say is 100% enjoyed it. Get yourself down to your nearest club.
Thanks, Matt, and thanks to Louth Netball Club for looking after him. Finally on the show, let's just take a look at some of the headlines from the sports stories over the last few days. First up, England ladies football captain Casey Stoney has come out publicly as gay after a positive reaction to Tom Daley's announcement last year. The question is, Andy, I suppose, are we seeing a positive change of reaction in people and sea of change for this?
Yes, I think it is becoming more common, and I think with her being a figurehead of a team, it's even better.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a prominent, high profile in sport. That's obviously got to be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And Dan, we've had the issue, you're a West Ham supporter, we've had the issue that we talked about in the show previously of Thomas Hitzelsberger. He actually came out after he retired. So do you think it's a change again with Casey being active?
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't really make a difference either way whether people decide to come out when they're playing or afterwards. Mm-hmm. I think hopefully it will give other players, who are gay, that it gives them the confidence to go and do it themselves, and it really doesn't make a difference. So
definitely, and it has been a really positive reaction with both Tom Daley and Casey Stoney. Andy, do you feel that possibly with Casey being a female, that it's maybe a different reaction to if it was a male with Tom, perhaps?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah, it's maybe something that's kind of changing, kind of expected almost.
Yes.
Dan, what's your thoughts on that one as well?
It is possible that it's more expected, but I think at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference who people are, as long as they're doing their sport and what they love. I don't think it really matters, whether
definitely.
you're gay or not.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your viewpoints on that one. Well, that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks to our studio guests, Dan Gamblin and Andy Abernethie, and thanks to Louth Netball Club for being good sports. Rob Underwood will be back next week. We'll see you again then. Goodbye.